Oh, turn off your camera. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. It is writing time, so I hope everybody has their pencils, their crayons, and their writing book, their pink writing book. Oh, let me stop sharing this for just a sec so I can get a better view of the screen for you. Okay. And here we go. That way you guys can see it better this way. So illustrators and authors, today we are going to be learning about sharing time. So after we do our lesson and then we practice and then we write our stories, at the very end, we always do sharing time. So today I'm going to teach you a little bit about sharing time and what that looks like, okay? So remember, you will need your writing book, a pencil, and crayon. Okay, if you don't have those, go and get them real quick. And I will begin. You can pause the video if you're watching as a recording. And we'll begin. Okay. So what can we write about? There's lots of things that we can write about, okay? We can write about something that you saw that I thought was very interesting or funny, or something fun that you did or you saw that looked like fun, or something silly that happened to you. It could be something like, you went to sit in your chair and then you slipped off the chair and you fell on your bottom on the floor. It could be anything silly that you want to share with your friends, or you can write something that you know a lot about, okay? Something you know a lot about that you want to share with your friends, okay, in class. Or here's some other great ideas that I'm going to share with you that you can share with everybody. Things, good ideas to write stories about. So you can write stories about your family, okay? You can write stories about your family. You can write stories about your friends, all the things that you did with your friends that day or the day before or a long time ago. It doesn't matter when it happened. Just if you want to write about your friends, that's good, and about your family. Or you can write about pets, right here, pets. If you have a pet, you can write about your pet, your cat, or your dog, or your turtle, or your bird, whatever pet you have. Or you can you can write about an animal that you know a lot about, or you're interested, or maybe you went to visit at the zoo that you want to talk about and share about with your friends. Or maybe you went to a farm and you want to share about animal that you know about, or you went to the farm and a story that something about a farm animal that you remember doing or seeing. Okay, so those are some ideas. Or here's some more great ideas. There's so many ideas that you can write in stories, and that's what's fun about writing, is that there's so many ideas. So you can write about toys. You can write about books. Look at all these toys. If you have certain toys you want to write about, there you go. You can write about a book that you read, and you can tell about that story and how interesting it was and why you loved it so much. You can write about a movie that you went and saw with your family or friends or your cousins. Or you can write about a show that you really love or know a lot about, okay? So these are different ideas. Or you can write about places, different places. You can write about the city you live in, the city you visited, or a time you went on vacation, or the time that you went to a farm, or the time that you went camp into the forest, went to the beach, the mountains, the lake, or maybe you went into visit a volcano, like Yellowstone or something like that, or the forest. Or you can talk about anything in town, your home, park, anywhere. Those are places, okay? Those are places. So you can write about different places. So these are all different ideas of things that you can write about, okay? So today for writing, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be writing a story, something that you want to share with your friends, something that you know a lot about, or something that you thought it was funny, you want to share. It can be anything, okay? But this time I want you to really think how you're going to share, because it is so important when you share that you put lots of detail and you make sure that you look at your picture and you're touching your picture. So that way, when you share with your friends, you're able to remember what happened. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to show you how that looks like. Okay, how that looks like. So there's a little girl right here. She's sharing her story and she has her words of what happened in her story. And then she has her picture that she drew, okay? So now I'm gonna show you in my screen how that looks like. So I'm gonna show you on this, but I don't want anybody writing their story on their whiteboard. Your story should be written in your writing book, okay? So this is what you're gonna do today, okay? You're gonna write something that you want to share or you know a lot about, okay? So today I'm gonna share a story that's about something I know a lot about and something that I could put lots of detail, okay? What can I talk about? What can I talk about? Or do I want to share a story something funny that happened to me today? Something that I know that I'm going to have to share with my friends and make sure I put lots of details so that way when I share, I don't forget any of the good important parts of the story, okay? So that's what you're going to do today. So here's my example, okay? So you're going to be illustrating a story, you're going to be drawing a story that you know a lot about and you want to share, okay? And you're going to take your time coloring it nicely. You're going to add more details. You're going to tap your story, make sure that you retell it, okay? Retell is when you tell your story again exactly how you remember it, okay? Because that's what you're doing. And then that way you don't forget when it's time for a share. So I'm going to write about a story of the one time that my dog, oh my gosh, I love writing about my dog. And you know why I love writing about my dog? Because I know so much about my dog, okay? And that's what I love to share. I love sharing all these funny little stories about my dog because I know a lot about her, okay? So here I am. This is me. Oh, and what do we do when we draw ourselves? Right? We do an arrow and we write our name because we want everybody to know that this is Senora Pena. Okay, and I'm going to add details, okay? I'm going to add details. So these are little details, my nose, my face, my hair, okay? And then we always draw our pictures first with pencil, and then we add lots of colors because if we add lots of colors in our picture, that's detail, okay? It's making people see our story kind of like in a movie, right? The movies have lots of color. So that's what our stories have to show is lots of color. Okay, so there I am. Oh, there's my arms, my fingers. Gotta have those because I have those, right? That's what I know about myself. I know I have all this stuff. My ears, okay? So I'm gonna tell you about this one story that I left a roll of toilet paper on the floor because my dog is still a puppy and she's still learning how to potty train. See how I'm remembering and telling you my story so that way I don't forget. So I had a roll of toilet paper, a paper towel that I put on the floor. And my dog here loves to tear up stuff, okay? But who is that right here? This is my dog. Well, how will you know as the person reading my story? Well, I'm gonna write her name here for you. Her name is Zoe, okay? Zoe, that's my Zoe. I'm writing about a story about my Zoe. Well, anyway, one day I left my paper towels on the floor because I cleaned up one of her messes because she pottied on the floor. So I was cleaning the mess up and I left the paper towel on the floor. What a big mistake that was because Zoe here, she's still a puppy. She loves to chew everything up. So I went to throw away the garbage from cleaning up her mess. So I went, here I had her garbage that I was gonna go throw in the can right in here. That's where I was gonna put it. I went to the bathroom to go put it away. Well, she was still in the living room. Okay, so this is the living room and this is the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom to throw away the garbage that I just cleaned up for her mess. And Zoe was left with the paper towel that I left on the floor. Oh my goodness, what a big mistake. Because when I came back, this paper towel was all over my living room. She had eaten all my paper towel. It was shredded up in pieces all over the floor. It was such a big mess. And I looked at her and she was so cute. I started laughing and I said, Oh, Zoe, if you weren't so cute enough, I wouldn't be so mad. But now I had another mess I had to clean up that day because Zoe made a disaster of my paper towels. There's my story. See how I touched and remembered and made sure I added lots of detail? Now, once I went ahead and added all my detail, I'm going to go back and I'm going to color it all up. So that way, when somebody's reading my story, they can see all the beautiful colors of the paper towel, my canister, my dress that I was wearing that day. So those are adding more details, okay? And then remembering what happened. So that way, and touching all my stuff that happened that day. So when it comes time for me to share, I'm able to remember what happened in my story. Okay, it's always important to make sure as I'm writing my story, I'm thinking about it, what happened, make sure I add more detail. So that way, if I forgot to dry my canister, I would forget to tell everybody that I went to go throw away my garbage. So these are little details, little things that I need to remember. So that way, when it's time for me to share my story, I can remember because it shows in my picture and it reminds me, oh yeah, I gotta talk about the garbage. Oh yeah, I gotta talk about all the mess she made because look at all my messes she made all over the floor that I had to clean up again. Not only did she make one mess of being potting on the carpet, but she also made a mess of my paper towels. Okay, and that's my story about Zoe, a funny little story that happened at my house. Okay, so now it's your turn to share your story with your friends. So go ahead and write, have this time to write. And remember, make sure you're putting lots of details, make sure you're working the whole time, make sure you're thinking about what you want to tell your friends. That way you don't forget. The more detail you put, the better, so that way you don't forget. Go ahead and begin and start writing your stories. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, okay? And then after the 5 minutes, we're going to pick a couple people to share. And at the end, we're all going to share, okay? So go ahead and begin.